Hello, it's Chris Hynes from Wealthi. I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the new year. I hope you all had a fantastic Christmas and New Year's. It's great to be back on deck and looking forward to this year. We've got a number of really exciting projects coming to market that I'm looking forward to running through with lots of you. And if you have any questions, as per usual, please feel free to reach out to myself or the team. I'm more than happy to get in touch with each and every one of you and have a chat about what your investment goals may be, what markets you've got your eye on at the moment, and how we might be able to help. But in today's video, I wanted to talk about Liverpool. Now, the reason I want to talk about Liverpool is because we've taken on two new projects in the region itself. So the first project is located on Memorial Avenue, which is this street here in Liverpool city centre. And then the second one is just to the south of Liverpool city centre in a place called Casula, which is just here. And that is located on Casula Road, just off the back of this park. You can see at the bottom of my screen and very, very close to Casula Station as well. So they're the two projects that we've just taken on. I'm not going to speak specifically about those projects today. I'll leave that for the investment specialist to run through and give you an overview of the projects themselves. But today I wanted to talk about why we've identified that as an investment opportunity, why we see value in both of these projects that we're working on at the moment, and talk about some of the projects that are happening in Liverpool from a larger scale, regeneration projects or major infrastructure projects that are happening in the Liverpool region. We'll also run over the population growth that Liverpool's experienced over the past 5-10 years as well, and how it's projected and tracking, and its trajectory, for the next 10-15 years forward. We'll talk about vacancy rates, number of households and dwellings. We'll run through some of the figures in terms of growth, house price growth in Liverpool region as well. And then lastly, finish on some stats on the New South Wales market, how that has performed as we've started the new year, what we've seen in the first week of 2022, or now middle of second week, but give you a bit of an overview of the area itself. So we'll get stuck into it. As always, if you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or the team. More than happy to have a chat with each and every one of you. And I hope you get some value out of this video. So to start off with, let's just talk about the Liverpool region quickly. So you've got Liverpool Hospital, which is the largest standalone hospital in Australia. That is undergoing a massive redevelopment as well. Westfield Liverpool is, of course, a large shopping centre in the city centre. There is going to be a commercial component that is set to be developed in the very near future. It's about a $93 million development that'll be happening off the back of Westfield as well. You've got the retail component that spans through the city, as you can see through the middle here. Let me just put my little man on the street. So you can see that they've really activated the retail component of Liverpool as well. So you've got that amenity on your doorstep. You've got the train station as well in Liverpool city centre. So if I was to give you a quick example of how long that takes to get into Sydney, so Liverpool to Sydney, New South Wales, you're looking at about 40 minutes if you were to drive. And in terms of train, you're looking at about 55 minutes to an hour. Keep it in mind. Hold up, let me just change this quickly. So if we were to leave at 10:30 at night, my time, UK time, that's about 9:30 in the morning. Let's make it 10. So if that was 9 in the morning, you're looking at about 55 to an hour nonetheless. So that is from Liverpool City into the Sydney CBD. If you were to train from Casula, that is also possible, and it sits about 100 metres away from the project that we're currently working on. You can get into Sydney CBD from Casula Station in about 58 minutes as well. So from a commutability and accessibility standpoint, it ticks a lot of boxes. Obviously, the way in which we've now work and the way in which we live has changed since this pandemic came about. I think that the change is here to stay. I think we'll start to see a lot of businesses relocate their headquarters out of these major hubs, places like Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, or more so Sydney and Melbourne, to be honest, and move their office to places like your Liverpools, your Parramatters, where it's more affordable from a commerciality standpoint. If you're in Sydney CBD and you've got a half-empty office or three-quarter empty office regarding or off the back of the restrictions that are in place, why would you pay $750, $800 a square metre for a B-grade office space when you could be somewhere like Liverpool or Parramatta that has the accessibility, it has the amenity, it has the retail, everything that you need on your doorstep, and you can pay, let's say, $400 to $500 a square metre for A-grade office space. So I think that you'll start to see that trend start to happen. Thankfully, Liverpool has a heap of commercial developments happening in the CBD. We'll run through those in more detail later on through this video, but we do have those developments in the pipeline, which should attract businesses that are located in CBD locations to these areas. Places like Liverpool. We saw it with Parramatta. We saw the shift into Parramatta, and that's now Sydney's second CBD. Now, we'll start with the population forecast and the projection. So the number of dwellings in Liverpool City Council is forecast to grow from 66,363 in 2016 to 131,771 in 2041. So seeing an increase of about 70,000 or 65,000 dwellings in the next 10 years to 2041. Average household size falling from 3.26 to 3.03 by 2041 was another point that they've mentioned there. In saying that though, and I was trying to find some more up-to-date statistics, but I don't think we'll have any until the census results come out from last year. In saying that though, this is from March 2019. I think that, or these figures were from before when the Western Sydney International Airport was officially announced. So I think that off the back of what's planned for Western Sydney International Airport, the employment and the infrastructure that is going to be coming to Liverpool or the Liverpool region, I think that that's going to increase the average household size for Liverpool. Families are going to relocate to places further away from Sydney CBD, but still within a commutable distance. And we'll run through the Western Sydney Airport development in more detail later on. But that's a very, very exciting project. And also the Aerotropolis, which will be next to the airport as well. But nonetheless, these numbers are moving in a positive direction. Current population of Liverpool City Council sits at about 242,817 people. By 2026, so 5 years' time, they're forecasting that to sit at about 276,970 people. And then fast forward to 2041, you're looking at about 386,646 people. Now, looking at the number of households, that is still tracking in a very positive direction. It was forecast to hit 75,523 households this year. And in 5 years' time, that's projected to grow another, or about 12,000 more households in the next 5 years. And that trajectory seems to be plotting in a very positive manner as well. Look at 2031, for example, and that's forecast to grow by another 14,000. So it's moving in the right direction. And I think that, as we've touched on with the average household size, I think there'll be some amendments to that when we get some more recent statistics. But nonetheless, average household size sitting at about 3 by 2041. As it stands, 3.18, looking at a 3 to 4 person household. Let's say that sweet spot being the 3 to 4 bedroom houses or units or townhouses. So that's still a very viable investment option as well. You can be attracting a young family, a young professional family, and it definitely ticks the boxes that you're looking to be ticked when you're looking at your investment. Now, I will run through the government website quickly. So this is the Liverpool City Council government website. If anyone wants to have a look at this, please let me know. I'm more than happy to send it across to you. And it gives you a good overview of what is happening in Liverpool at the moment. So Liverpool have a target that they're looking to achieve to become Sydney's third CBD. They're rezoning 25 hectares in the heart of Liverpool to reinvigorate the CBD and allow construction of multi-purpose buildings that could include cafes, bars, restaurants, retail, childcare, office space and residential uses. You've got Liverpool Civic Place. Proposed mixed-use Liverpool Civic Place development will anchor and activate the southern end of Liverpool CBD. That's great as well for the Casula development because Casula is located on the southern end of the Liverpool area, you could say. So Liverpool area, essentially, let me just click on Liverpool here. So the Liverpool region essentially ends here. You could say Liverpool City region, and then Casula borders onto the back end of that. So if that's going to be reinvigorating the southern end of Liverpool, that's fantastic for the investment in Casula as well. Now they have a 10-year plan to redevelop and create a master plan for the public spaces, create more green space within the city as well, activate the city centre and create it as a more accessible area as well. Now, you've got the Western Sydney International Airport. I mentioned that previously in this video or earlier in this video. That's set to open in 2026. That is a $5.3 billion development, and that is going to reap a lot of reward for Liverpool itself. And I'll give you a bit of an overview by opening this actually quickly, just to show you what they're projecting it to do for the city. So due to open to passengers in 2026, in conjunction with the Western Sydney Aerotropolis, it will contribute towards 200,000 new jobs in Western Parkland City and become a highly skilled job hub across aerospace, defence, manufacturing, healthcare, freight and logistics, agribusiness, education, and research industry. So that is a fantastic bonus for Liverpool, capitalising on the development of Western Sydney International Airport. For anyone who hasn't watched this video, where my mouse is now, I'll leave it in the description of this video below or in the body of the message, and feel free to watch it. It's a fantastic video. It gives you a good run through of the project itself, and not just the project of the airport, but also the Aerotropolis that they're planning to develop next to the airport as well. So that is a few of the plans moving forward for Liverpool. You've also got the Liverpool Hospital redevelopment. So that's part of the Liverpool Innovation Precinct, anchored by the hospital itself. Largest hospital in New South Wales, one of the leading trauma centres in Australia. That is part of a $390 million redevelopment of the hospital, which will help provide enhanced healthcare services for the community. This is and just on that point, I just want to run through this project, this document here. So this is the Invest in Liverpool document that was released in November of 2020, outlining all the redevelopment projects, major projects that are happening in Liverpool or planned, proposed for Liverpool as it stands. So part of that LIP master plan that I just mentioned regarding the Liverpool Hospital, you also have the Western Sydney University, which is a part of this precinct, and that consists of nursing, social work, social science, criminology and policing, and will include a startup incubator and tech SME accelerator. Currently consists of just over 2,300 students, over 140 staff. You've got the the Southwestern Sydney Private Hospital. 11,200 patients per year are seen at the private hospital. It consists of 87 beds, 5 operating theatres and 300 staff. You've got Liverpool Hospital, as we've mentioned, largest standalone hospital in Australia in the city centre. Seats about 82,000 patients per year, 4,500 staff, 1,500 medical students from University of New South Wales and Western Sydney University, just to name a few. But that is part of that innovation precinct and the hub within the Liverpool city. You've also got the residential and commercial components that I mentioned previously. So the plans that have been approved are these two at the top. So 149 to 151 Terminus Street in Liverpool. That's going to consist of 6,000 square meters of commercial space. Then you've got 1 to 5 Speed Street. It's consisting of 3,800 square meters of commercial space. Westfield, as I touched on at the very start of this video, that has been approved as well, and that'll be a $93 million development spanning over 11 stories, consisting of 10,500 square meters of A-grade commercial office space and an additional 1,952 square meters of retail, additional 4,093 square meters of entertainment space. You've got 22 Elizabeth Street. That's also been approved. That'll be a $180 million development spanning over 34 stories, 5,500 square meters of A-grade commercial space, 113 hotel rooms, 179 residential apartments, ground floor food and beverage offerings as well, and 345 car parks. Liverpool Quarter, that has also been approved, $106 million development over 23 stories, 27,000 square meters of A-grade commercial office space, food and beverage offerings, and retail as well. And you've got the 35 Scott Street. Once again, that was completed in 2019, but that consists of 10,000 square meters of commercial office space as well. So some fantastic developments happening in the Liverpool city region. These are just going to further drive the local economy in the city centre. And I think these are some great projects to look forward to. They'll add a lot of value to the city. As I mentioned previously, the way in which we work now, having the opportunity to work from home as well. I think we're going to start to see corporates trying to adjust the way in which they work, reduce the overhead of their rental expenses as well, relocating to places like Liverpool, let's say, or Parramatta, where they can take advantage of slightly lower rentals as well. From a commercial standpoint, I think that'll be another driver. That's something to keep an eye on when looking at some of these projects coming forward in the Liverpool region. Now, you've also got so this is the investment property for Liverpool snapshot. So this is giving us a bit of an idea on the supply and demand for Liverpool. So we'll look at the Liverpool city region first. So currently vacancy rate sits at 3.34%. Equates to about 12 to 13 days a year of vacancy for your property. Rental stock available on the market is at 448 properties at the moment. Population of Liverpool city centre sits at about 27,000 people. Rental population at 47.2%. Then looking at the Liverpool region, current vacancy rate for Liverpool region sits at 1.33%. Got about 1,000 properties on the market for rent as it stands. That population is slightly below where it is currently sitting, where it's sitting at about 242,000 people, and rental population sits at 29% at the moment. Now, lastly, just to finish it off, I thought that I would run through some of these stats in terms of how things have been come the new year. I released a piece yesterday talking about the weekly wrap up given the first week of January. And these are some of the numbers off the back of the report that I mentioned or discussed. So since the start of the year, and keep in mind, this is all data ending on the 9th of January. But in terms of weekly change, you're looking at a 0.3% rise in property values for the Sydney region over the past 7 days. So a very strong start to the year, sitting second best behind Brisbane and Adelaide, which have also seen an exceptionally strong start to the year, which I suppose was expected. There's still that demand for the Sunshine State. People want to move up to Queensland. I think from a livability and affordability and a lifestyle perspective, it ticks a lot of boxes for a lot of people. So I think we'll continue to see the demand for Brisbane continue this year. And I was speaking to a very close friend of mine in Brisbane last week who works for a development group, and he was expressing to me the difficulty that they're having at the moment when it comes to purchasing lots that they can develop on, and the competitiveness in that space as well. It's almost bullying them out of the market. They can't keep up with the price point of where these prices are being driven from a development site perspective. And of course, when it comes to the sale of these dwellings on this land, come completion, they then have to increase the prices of these properties as well to keep the same margin between their profits. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I think it'll be a very competitive space, the Brisbane market, over the next 12 months. But it'll be interesting to see how it pans out, and we'll definitely keep you informed with what we are noticing. Looking at the 12-month change year to date, given that it is the new year, we can see how each state has performed, or each capital city, has performed. So Sydney came in second best at 25.8% for the year, Brisbane 28% price increase for 12 months, and Adelaide in third place at 23.7%. The combined five capitals for the year, for the 12-month change, sat at 21.3%. So all in all, a fantastic year for Australian property prices, and extremely excited to see how this year pans out. I think it's going to be a busy year from a property perspective. I think there's going to be a lot of activity, and it'll be interesting to watch how it tracks really for the next 12 months. I'm excited to dive into the numbers and see what figures we do get 12 months from now. But I hope that you've got some value out of today's video. It's given you a good understanding of Liverpool, some of the projects that are happening in Liverpool, why we see it as an awesome opportunity. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or the team, and we're all more than happy to have a chat. So have a fantastic week, everyone, and I look forward to speaking to you all very soon. Thank you.